Versuch mal noch lauter zu pegeln. Noch etwas mehr. 1, 2. Gut, so lassen wir es erstmal. Der atmet, lebt noch.
Ich hab's an. Du kannst jetzt reden.
Hallo, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, I think so. There was somebody else on our channel from there right now. Yeah, we're. I think we should wait another 5 minutes, then get started. A few are missing, and yeah, but I think another 5-10 minutes we should get going. Okay, can you hear me? All right. Yeah, so welcome back to day 2. Yesterday we focused on the developer training aspect of it. Today at the conference, we will keep this open format of, questions and answers and ideas. But the first part of the day until the lunch break, which will be at the same time at 1, will be user talks. People who use ERPNext, who have some interesting things to share, just for you, to see how did people get to ERPNext, how are they using it, and where do they have good ideas that maybe you can take home with yourself. Around the lunch break, either before or after, we have to see how the talks go, how fast we are. Rishabh will talk about the ERPNext Foundation, and he will give more information about ERPNext and Frappe. And after lunch, we would like to have a Q&A again. I think that there's a lot of ideas. Also during the dinner yesterday, I heard a good idea of like, hey, let's open up for us a Google group where everybody can write what they do, so we can remember who was whom. Or the suggestion was there, this afternoon, can we take a picture and write down who was who, so I can associate a face with a name, because there's I also have to say, I talk to a lot of people, but it's hard for me to remember all the names when I have to make sure everything is going well. So that's the rough plan for today. I would like to start off again by thanking our sponsors, if you could see them. Let me just fix this real quick. We should be back. Yeah. Thanking them for making that possible, and thanking you all for participating. So I would like to start with first from with the first talk, which is about ISO Electronic. I'm the CEO of ISO Electronic in Germany. Like we said yesterday, Björn is the technical director. He's the CEO of ISO Romania. We have 2 facilities. What we're doing is printed circuit board assembly. All good? Okay. What we're doing is printed circuit board assembly. We get customer drawings, we get bill of materials, and the customer wants us to produce any electronics. So basically anything you have in front of us, we could produce that theoretically at ISO, but all the consumer goods are made in China or somewhere in Southeast Asia. So we're specializing in production for medium and low volume. So there's a couple of specialized customers that need circuit boards. Let's say like they need 50, they need 500, or even up to 20,000 of something specific, like an embedded computer. They need a specific remote control, a heating system for pipelines, custom lighting solution, LED lighting solutions. All these different things we produce at our company. We also do software development. We have 2 software developers at our company. They're both here, Marcus and Stavros. And we have 100 employees totally in Germany and in Romania. So this is an example of a printed circuit board that is assembled. We buy the bare PCB. If you've seen a PCB yourself before, which you probably have, the green base material, let's say, that is something we source from different partners all over the world. We buy all the components, and when we have that, our service is the assembly, testing, coding, potting, mounting, packaging, all of this, so you can have a final product. That's what we do. This is actually a picture from one of our products that we produce in-house. So printed circuit board assembly, what we do is we have 200 active customers, mostly in Europe, but also in other parts of the world. It is, I would say, still 80% Germany that we supply to. But we get new inquiries. Just last week, we got inquiries from 2 Greek companies, one of whom has become a customer already. We're working for a Portuguese company, for Dutch companies. We have a Belgian customer. We have a French customer. I could go on. Finnish. We have a company in Brazil that buys PCBs from us. And that is because we're really specializing on being super fast and building high quality for low volume. It's obvious that if you're going to buy, I don't know how many iPhones Apple sells a year, millions, that is done in China, and that's done to a really high degree of quality. The iPhones are superb quality. But Germany has a good market for quality providers for smaller volume. So we produce, let's say, 10 pieces of something at a really high quality standard. We have 2,000 active products, so 2,000 different things. Embedded computer, a lighting solution that we produce at our company. And we assemble about 40 million components a year that are placed. So if you look back at the picture, each of those is an individual component. Boards can have up to thousands of components or 300 different components. And now if you're looking at it from an ERP standpoint, which you're probably already doing, okay, how do you purchase that much? How do you like, let's produce 10 PCBs. We need a custom PCB that's specifically produced for us. We need to buy all the components. You maybe have 200 different components on a PCB. Now you need to buy that. Of course, you can't be like, okay, let's just buy 10 times the amount that we need. No, you need to be cost competitive. So you need to buy exactly as much as you have. Inventory management is sometimes a nightmare with this. And I was just saying yesterday, if you make a prototype and you see a stock of 15, let's say, of these microchips, yeah, we have 15 in stock. You have to depend on that, because if you need 15 and you have 15, you're not going to buy more, but if you need 15 and you have 10, then you're going to have to call up your customer and say, well, I'm sorry, we can only deliver 10, the other 5 will arrive later. That is something that we face, definitely, that happens, but we're trying to minimize that. The second part that we do is software development. So we have 2 software developers. We develop in Frappe framework, so Python, JavaScript, MariaDB, but we also develop in ASP.NET. We develop desktop applications. We have a lot of software that we need for ourselves. So, for example, if a customer comes and says, okay, how do you test this PCB? I want to test it, I want it finished. Then we need to produce custom test adapters. So these are typically very big projects, and they come with a customized software that we do for that. Test development and hardware development is also something we do. So if you have a great idea of some new product that you need, we're the guys who can do the development. So when we're looking for an ERP system about 2 years ago, for a new one, I spent an intense weekend looking at all different ERP systems that are out on the market. I looked at Odoo, I looked at a bunch of other software. I mean, I basically downloaded, installed, tested. I tested the current Microsoft Dynamics, whatever. I tried them all out. And at the end, when I came to Frappe Framework and ERPNext, I found that to be a very good fit to what we need. And that has a history. We have an ERP system. We have an ERP system that works pretty well. It's Navision 2009. That system works. It's an excellent ERP system. It's reliable. You won't have crashes or any sort of problems. You don't have to concern yourself with, oh, is this booked correctly, or is there some bug in there that will cause something that I have to patch and fix? You don't have to deal with that. It works. But at the same time, customizing it is painful. We have customized the software heavily to suit our needs. Because for us, a bill of materials is not just a bill of materials. Materials are consumed in different places. They're put in different places. So it's very complex for us. And we customized all of this. And then Microsoft came along and said, okay, we're now going with Microsoft Dynamics Navision 2012, which has a completely new platform because it's web-based. And all the code that you've written you cannot use it anymore. So you have to rewrite it. And when we got to that point of saying, okay, we have to rewrite basically all of our code, we said we're not willing to do that again in a system that is closed source, which we will face the same problem maybe again. So we were looking for a heavily customizable but updatable ERP system. And I was saying this yesterday to the second group. ERPNext is very customizable and updatable out of the box, even if you have the cloud hosting of Frappe on ERPNext.com. You don't have to deal with the updates. Basically, you have your customizations. The updates are done for you. You're always on the current version. If something crashes, you call them up and say, hey, help me out. If you say heavily customizable, I think that's a hint that we don't only write custom scripts and custom doc types or custom fields, but that we actually have our own fork of Frappe framework and ERPNext for the stuff that's really needs a lot of programming. So we do this whenever we see that something is suitable for the community, we contribute it back. So we're looking for sales orders, quotes, and we're done. But that's, ERPNext comes with all of that. That's fine, but that's not all we need. We have custom doc types for assembly specifications because all these assemblies are super complex for the PCB specifications. We have our own production planning tool because the production planning is very, very difficult. So all this information is put in, and we're replacing all the Word documents and Excel sheets that we have as little helper files at the company because we didn't want to spend the budget for implementing that in Navision. And ERPNext, I saw that ERPNext comes with that, so I can create. We had this example yesterday. Create a doc type that manages my Christmas letters. Why not? You can do that. Absolutely no problem. And that's why I say information warehouse, because what do you do if you have an ERP system that is not very customizable? You will use, let's say, you buy Microsoft Dynamics, okay? You'll end up using about 10% of it because the other 90% is so specific and so rich, you don't actually need it. But that only covers, I just say a number, 50% of your needs. The other needs you'll cover with Excel sheets or Word docs. If you're a big enterprise, yes, they have SAP consultants that come in and deal with all of it for you. But smaller companies, this is typically a budget problem. So ERPNext for us is an information warehouse that keeps all of it. We have an API because we use a lot of the information in other apps. Like I was saying, we're building testers. These are desktop applications. But when you're signing in to that tester, you need credentials, you need a user. So we're actually using the ERPNext for authentication. So we have user roles that will say, are you allowed to use that application? So we're connecting to ERPNext through the API in various ways. And that's very important to us that the API is good. And I saw how simple the API is, and how simply you can implement it. That was something too. We're looking for a web-based solution. So we have two locations, one in Romania, one in Germany. How does that typically work? You have two firewalls. They connect with a VPN network. And then you're stuck with whatever the VPN speed is. Now, there's a little bit of a problem with this sometimes, because if you're trying to do Navision SQL queries over a VPN, you're going to wait about 20 seconds until like a list view has loaded. So you need to work with on-premise machines that the users in Romania log into. You have to host all of that IT infrastructure. So it's a big headache for us. And home office gets a little bit more tricky. There is technical solutions for all of this, absolutely. And these technical solutions are readily available, but I just don't want to deal with it. When I'm at the customer, and I'm often at the customers, and they have a question about their product, I want to pull out my cell phone, my laptop, my tablet, whatever I have with me, and I will go into that customer and I will pull up all the information that I need, and I'll have it readily available. It doesn't matter where our employees are at that moment. If they're working from Greece, if they're working from Germany, I don't have to deal with the VPN infrastructure and securing that. We're just looking for a system that we can access directly. We want a beautiful product, so our employees spend so much time. They look at the ERP system all day long. And if you look at the ERP systems out there, some of them are really quite, they're not beautiful, let's say like this. And they're not structured well. And I think people are used to using computers and using ERP systems. And when they look at ERPNext, the first thing you see is like, okay, I think I understand it. You know, I don't have like 1,000 tables and views and different things. It's a very intuitive way to do it. So the next thing we were looking for was an open source project. And this was also because Microsoft has decided to discontinue the 2009 product line, let's call it, and replace it with something new. We want to be able to either say, okay, we're willing to do this, we're going along that way, or we want to say, no, this is what we need. We'll stop here, we'll fork, and we'll do our own thing. So with ERPNext and in general with open source projects, is they're truly open source and not like trying to be open source and then heavily commercialize it. Is that there has to be a sort of democratic perspective of the company that develops it. If that company goes bad, if that company closes, if they go bankrupt, if they just lose interest, if you just look on SourceForge or on GitHub, how many abandoned open source projects there are. This is also the case with closed source projects. You know, I was at the tax office in Romania the other day, and I walked in and I looked. I had to do some taxation, and I saw they had 4 computers running. One was running Windows NT, one was running Windows 2000, the other one was Windows 10, and then then the rest I don't know, maybe some Linux system. And the reason was, I asked her, what's all this? You know, it's like a small office and you have all these computers and screens and she was like, yeah, I mean, we have all this software that's not upward compatible. They've just stopped developing it, and now I have to use a Windows NT machine. I was like, okay, what do you do if that hard drive breaks? Are you even going to find a hard drive that fits that old computer anymore? You know, so it's important that the projects evolve and the projects continue in development. But if for some reason it stops, we feel like we can take over for ourselves. So this is why I found ERPNext compared to all the other systems. It is the perfect system for us for the information warehouse. Not only ERPNext, we talk about ERPNext, and this is the ERPNext conference, but this is like also the Frappe framework conference, the power of Frappe. So what is an information warehouse? Enterprise Resource Planning, ERP. It's a manufacturing execution system. So we, at any given point, we have about 300 production orders in our company that have to be tracked, managed, produced. Customer communication has to be managed. So the manufacturing execution system helps us plan it. When exactly does this work? Down to the minute, when does this production start, on which machine, who will do what after, how far you're along. We need to closely track the workers' time. So, you know, all of these projects are very competitively priced. And at the end, we need to know, did we make money, or did we lose money, or did we have enough? Did we have too much left that we should lower the price for the customer to have a strategic relationship with them to say, okay, it's not only going up, but when products run really well, the price is also going down. So this is very important for us. Customer relationship management in simple ways, yes, okay, who are our customers? But for us, what's very important is the customer help desk. We currently use Help Scout, which is a system like you may have come across Zendesk or other systems like this. Is quite similar to that. And for us, that is very important. 300 production orders at any given point means a ton of communication all the time with all the customers, and not only with the customers. I don't know how many thousand purchase orders we have a year. Hundreds. Do you know? Over 3,000 purchase orders. Okay. Okay. Since January 1st, 360. Yeah, so 10, so yeah, 15 per working day. 15 per working day. We assume that that will be higher even now. And these are not like one-line purchase orders. These are like big purchase orders of several thousand euros. So also communicating with the supplier, this is intense because like you have one line that they cannot deliver. They give you an order confirmation that's not good. You have to plan your production again. You have to move it. You have to talk to the customer. So it's a very, very difficult process for us. So the help desk is very important. Collaborative project management. We use a software called Asana right now. So Asana is a software as a service. It's hosted only by the Asana by Asana, and we use it to manage progress. Because if you send us this PCB to produce, we have a process map. This requires 30 things to be done until we can even start, and they depend on each other. So this is very, very tricky for us. Quality management, we're under quality management norms, so our quality management system has to comply to ISO 9001. So we have process maps that we ultimately will have in ERPNext. We have process definitions, quality documentation. All of this has to be managed centrally. Data storage and versioning. So the customers send us their data, okay, and the project manager notices, oh, there is a discrepancy here. The part number that you've written, this is not clear. Can you specify this? Okay, now you have a problem if you do it really, really well, because the customer will say, will either tell you, oh yeah, that's a typo, just change it. Okay, now we're talking about quality documentation, right? Just change it. Okay, well, we can do that, but now we're triggering a process, okay? We cannot change the original customer document because that has to be there for the files. So I have to change a copy of it. We have to record all of this in our ERP system. We have to write the customer, formally notify. Even if the customer thinks that's very relaxed, that they don't bother, we still have to notify them. But typically, when you work with these companies, you can't only notify the developer who said that, but you also have to notify the purchaser, right? So then if you forget that, if you're talking to a big corporation like Panasonic, Siemens, or Bosch, or any of these guys, if you just talk to the developer, the purchaser doesn't think that's very, very funny. You know, they really want to know. Okay, you're changing the specification. That person might have thought that's not a big change, but to me that is. Okay, you maybe have to talk about price changes. So all of this gets very gritty. So we need really good data storage and versioning. Uh-huh. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, if yeah, the if the product has very strict regulation, you maybe have to restart the whole process because of something like this. Yeah. We also need a knowledge base. Okay, so what is the smallest component that we can assemble? How fast is that component? How many fiducials do you need on a PCB? How many, all of this information that everybody has to deal with on a regular basis. This has to be stored in a central location so it's accessible for us, but it's also accessible for our customers. So we can send them a link and I have a question. How does the ideal bill of materials look like? How do I export? Okay, now this gets crazy. Gerber files from this and that program. So we write instructions on that and we put them on a knowledge base, right? So, okay, ERPNext is all of that for us, or is the platform, or Frappe is the platform for all of this. I've just listed what we really love about the product. So it's a beautiful, intuitive, and easy to use design. You open it, and when I first opened it, I saw the desktop, and I was like, this is promising, okay? And not I open it, and I'm like, where do I start? It's very clear to me where I start. You can configure the desktop for each user to make sure that they only see what's very important to them, and then the users can get going. It's easy to set up, either hosted or cloud. The cloud sign up takes a minute, maybe two, and you're ready to go. And if you sign up for a paid subscription plan, you put in your payment credentials and you're good. You don't have to deal with anything else. Hosted is also very easy to set up, ever more so when we started. Um, the whole setup was very much Mac OS oriented or Linux oriented. Now you have a virtual box for Windows. You can play around. Once you familiarized yourself with Bench and Frappe framework, you can go and find out what's really under the hood to configure your servers and readers and whatever. It's a well-known technology to make it easy to get started. So what Frappe is not well-known technology. ERPNext is not. That's a big problem that we're facing, that it's not well-known technology. But what's under the hood is well-known. If you want to find a JavaScript developer, you can find a JavaScript developer. If you want to find a Python developer, you will find one. If you want an expert in Git, you will find one. If you want somebody who knows something about Linux development or Linux server administration, about MariaDB, about read a server and how to do this. If you want somebody who will figure out a Linux firewall for you, you'll be able to find all of this. You can find it, you can read up about it. This is very well documented. That's also important to me. Like if you look at the typical ERP systems, yes, they all have like derivatives of C++ or whatever, or some functional programming language that they use, but you need some training in it. With Python, you don't. It's very simple and straightforward. So that's under the hood, and that also impressed me. So the second stage, when I looked at ERPNext, I saw, okay, the desktop looks clean. It has the functionality that we need. I can easily customize it. What's under the hood? Is this held together by duct tape, or is this actually working? And when I saw what's under the hood, I got more convinced that this is good for us. So I'm neither a Python developer or specifically like a Linux geek. I'm originally a Java developer, now turned CEO of this electronics manufacturing company. So yeah. So I'm not doing that anymore. But JavaScript, Python development, I understand the concepts. I can wrap my head around it. I know about the logic of programming, and so then I have the experts who will do the specific jobs for me. It has an API for each doc type and whitelists, which make integration of other apps and services really easy. So you can basically make any field available to read or to update, and you can use that in other apps. You can connect it with Help Scout. You could connect it with Salesforce if you want. You can connect it with anything you want if you make the right API connectors. And open source software with a great company and people behind it. I don't know exactly how the timeline was, but after that weekend of manically looking through all the ERP systems, I think I went up to my wife and said, I found the ERP system that's going to work for us. The framework is the only thing that will be good. We're going to India. Okay. So book a flight. And we went to India. We met Rushabh. We met Nabin. We met the rest of the team. And we were sitting with them. We booked a developer workshop at their facilities. We were with them for a week. And yes, the developer aspect was part of it. The other part of it for me was, how flexible are you? Can I come on short notice? Can I come to your office and sit at your table? Will you actually explain to me how this works? Will you take the time? Will you be a good host? And all of this was the case. I came to India. They were excellent hosts. They were super friendly to me and to Marcus and Carly. More than accommodating. Told us everything they knew. Very open. Really, truly living the open source spirit. And we left knowing not only is this a good framework, not only is this a good ERP system that we can base it on, but also the company behind it lives the open source spirit and is full of good people. They're great people. And that rounds it up for me. So is there an ERP system that would work more out of the box? Definitely. There is a system that will suit our needs more. Maybe there is even somebody who has an SAP implementation for electronics manufacturing firm. I guarantee you there is one or a couple. But that's a completely different spirit, and that spirit is important to me, and to be able to do it and to be part of that community. So what are about the things that are missing? We heard this a lot. Bench stop. Okay? This is just a good example, I want this. How about this field? How about this functionality? How about we turn this into a really super awesome help desk? How about SKR 03, SKR 04, and German double accounting? And how about the data export for German tax consultants? And how about an importer? All really good ideas. And Rushab, I saw a change in 2016 at the conference when he started saying, scratch your itch. I didn't hear that at the ERPNext conference 2015, or maybe I just didn't listen enough. But you can see as the project is getting bigger, more people come with great ideas, and you're the experts in those fields. You need that. Like, what does Nabin know about the DATEV exporter for a German tax consultant? It's not his problem. He's never thought about it. It's not interesting to him, just in the same way that other things are not interesting to you. So it's about the functional experts of you to bring these issues up and to make it. So, but who should fix this? Who should fix it all? That's obvious. These guys, right? They should do it all. So let's count. Okay, you're 13 people, more than in the picture. Who should fix it? They should just do it. We're 40 people here, or 50 people here. And let's say we each have 10 problems that we want fixed. Okay, so we have 500 problems. Let's just raise GitHub issues, and these guys will fix it all for us. So the other way is like scratch your itch is who should fix it? These guys. And the answer is both. I think there's ERPNext is the company, or Frappe is the company that makes the money from the cloud hosting and from sponsorships. We are companies that either replace an ERP system that we have, like us or others of you, or we're a company who develop for companies, or we're a company that's looking to find a good framework for what we're doing. So now think about the combined money and the combined knowledge, the combined programming knowledge, the combined ERPNext consulting expertise, implementation expertise, functional knowledge. And think about just this room, how much knowledge we have and how much energy we can put into this if we really want to. We're paying, like, if you look at stuff like Help Scout, if you have a Help Scout for 10 people, you're gonna end up paying 2,500 euros a year for this, and nobody's bothered by that. That's just how much it costs. You go with Asana and you have a team that's too big, and you already go into the paid plan. People don't care if they spend 5,000 on that when it's every month your build. When people look at an ERP implementation and they see SAP, okay, 250,000, it's like, oh, okay, how do we do this? It's just the beginning also. Okay, that's just the ticket price, the label price. So just think about this. When you're replacing stuff in your company, when you are commercially benefiting from this, you can also contribute stuff, and we have to set the roadmap for this. So I will talk about 5 things you can do, or five ideas of what I think that you can do individually as you're sitting here right now. But first, I'd like to invite another speaker. So the first one of our users that's going to present is going to be Antonius. Oh, here you are. Okay, so please come up. Yeah. So as you hear, it's pretty wild out there. For those of you who are watching online, we have a protest of announced 20,000 Kurdish protesters who are in the streets of Frankfurt. Now, that has one consequence, which is every road around this perimeter is completely blocked off by police. And I told you that we'll have catering service come in, Mexican food. Now, they're stuck. You know, they said like right that there's a security perimeter. There's absolutely nothing moving in or out. So the restaurant that was supposed to cater here, and we will go eat there, is 800 meters west of here. So it's a short walk for us. We'll leave at 12:30. So we'll wrap up, let's say around 12:20. You can keep your things here. We will ask the the guy who's responsible for this to lock it. If you feel more comfortable taking stuff with you, you should. Okay, so 12:30 we'll leave. We'll have to end at 12:20. Go to lunch, and then we'll come back right after. So, and now Antonius, it's all yours.
Okay, hello. Hello, everyone. My name is Anton. Uh, I'm from Indonesia. For you where's Indonesia is, Indonesia is about 1 hour from Singapore. We are located in Southeast Asia. So basically, it's a long way to come here. And this is my third conference already. I'm always happy to come to ERPNext conference. It's always remind me of the first conference that I had in Mumbai. That was the very first conference that I see with Rusaps and the other team, and I was quite surprised. I mean, like usually every every ERP conference is full of service provider. They try to show what they have, what they doing and stuff like that. But at the first ERP Next conference is so much different. I see lots of happy people who implement ERP Next, and they're so grateful. And then they say, "Hey, look, this is a nice product, and we use this, and we are quite happy with that." So basically, they're volunteering to be the speaker for the conference, and I found that wow, it's a very amazing. It's something new that I think myself I experienced that first time, and you can say now I'm the ERP Next evangelist, as you can say. So I'm just following the way before me that speaking that promoting ERP Next. That's what I'm doing now. So my topic is how to show you. I mean, like how several of my implementation in Indonesia. We have a distribution company, one manufacturing company, and one service-based company. So it's just to show and give you some idea how actually flexible it is on the system it is. So I'm basically from Indonesia. I'm Anton. I work at the PT Rido Sri Bumi Sejahtera. We are fruits and vegetable importers. Basically, we import fruits and vegetables from the rest of the world to Indonesia. And we start using ERPNext from version 4. So basically that was quite a long time ago. And now presently we are using version 7. We are upgrading ourselves, we are implementing ourselves, and we are quite happy with that. Basically we have branches in Jakarta, capital city. We have branches in Surabaya, and we also have a company in China for the packing house. So, and then after several years of using ERPNext, we are also now a service provider ourselves. We are trying to promote ERPNext usage in Indonesia or Asia, basically. So, my story, my company story was why I need to change. So before, we used to have quite lots of software to use. Let's say we have one for accounting, we have one for manufacturing, we have another software for HR, and we have another software for the stock keeping. So basically, as the business grows, we have quite more a transaction coming in. It's hard to maintain like so many platform because basically you will have to do a double entry. First, you do the stocks entry, then you do the manufacturing entry. Then you have to go inside the general ledger again for the accounting. So we found as our business grows, so does our need for help. So basically, we're recruiting more people just to make the business go and go. And it's always difficult to train them because they're new, they don't know anything. You have to train them to tell you them what to do. And the worst thing in developing economy is when they start getting better, they leave for a better salary. So okay, start from beginning again. And then well, the closed source is always limited. It's always okay, I sell you as it is. This is the feature, this is the product. When I come to them and I say, oh, can we customize? And they say no. Well, I'm not into the big SAP ERP system like that because we are small to medium business growing. So we don't really have budget for big how to say ERP implementation. But so that's why we have to find lots of software just to cater our needs. So basically, you're finding flexible solution on IT. And of course, closed source, you cannot evolve since it's just like a ready product. You use it, you don't like it, then so what? You cannot do anything about it. And because it's also we implement that on around 1990s. Actually, it's already quite old. So our accounting system before is still using the DOS with the Fox Pro. So it's getting more and more data coming in. It's getting more and more slow. So what we do, we have to upgrade a better server, and then another bigger server, a bigger server, and then what else? Just to do the computation and calculation. So before using ERPNext, I do a little bit evaluation that time. So I was completely sure about I'm going open source. So that time we are trying the first was Adempier, was a fork of Compere before. We have the first service provider in Indonesia before, and then next I try Odo, and then the last one is ERPNext. So basically with Adempier, I found it quite confusing. It's a lot of menu, a lot of features. For me myself, I don't think it's that nice. So since it's quite confusing, I kind of feel it's quite difficult. So I give up in doing customization. So if I cannot understand what the program is, so I don't do it. So and then the next is Odo. At the first look, Odo is very simple. I like the layout of the Odo. But then once you go deeper and you try to understand what is Odo, and you found that actually, okay, it's modular. Okay, that's good. That means you need to add more module. It's like Lego. They always say you can just add something on it. But then the problem is the module always commercial. You have to pay to get it work. There is no, how to say, out of the box module that gives you the same function that I need. You always have to come to the provider, and then you will have to ask, and they will always say that, okay, you need this module to work, this much money. And then of course, if you look at the business, how many modules that you need, that's the cost of the implementation itself. And then at, I think when I start from Odo 7. So and then I found that Odo 8, Odo 9, they're becoming more and more commercial. So, but actually, this is my experience. I myself, actually, I signed up for Odo. I paid money to implement Odo that time. That's already decided. I will just use Odo that time. And then during the development phase, they say it will take around 1 or 2 year. Well, actually, it's 1.5 year to make the Odo that really customizable for my company. And I use a small program. So basically, I use a small program so that my business still work while the Odo is being developed. And then that program happens to be ERPNext. So basically, I'm using ERPNext as one kind of accidental use. So I was actually using ERPNext just as a buffer before my Odo start. But then at the end, I found like, hey, this is already almost everything that what I need. So why I should Odo anymore? So at the end, I don't use Odo. I still have my Odo, but I'm not using it. Where should I implement? I don't know. But that's my story. So this is specific business process of my company. So what's special about it is we have a packaging house in China, and we always buy material in raw. So basically, we have kind of like a small manufacturing here. Well, you have to combine the raw material with the packaging, with the labor cost. It becomes the finished goods here. So then we need to ship it to Indonesia. Of course, when you ship it, you need to have add something like a document fee, import tax charges, freight charges, land transport, everything until you reach the warehouse. And then from the warehouse, you still have to ship it to Jakarta or Surabaya. So basically, this is what we require from an ERP system. And this one, as you can see, ERPNext already have it out of the box. We call it the landed cost voucher. And actually, my company use this a lot. So basically, with this landed cost voucher, we can determine the cost of goods sold in China, the cost of goods sold when you ship it to Indonesia, the cost of goods sold when it reach Surabaya warehouse or in Jakarta warehouse. So I like the system because it can give me exact costing of any goods that I have in my warehouse. That's the thing. And then we also have a cost center because we have a multiple branch. We always want to know, okay, so is the Jakarta is making money or the store one is making money or store two is making money? So we use the heavily with the cost center of the ERPNext. I think this is the special things about my business that ERPNext can really help already actually really help me with this. So this is for that I created like a small doc type called the document checklist. So basically it gives you all the scheduling on how many containers is arriving, what kind of product, when it's going to arrive, and what's the cost, what's the problem. This is my document checklist. And this is the checking module. Basically the checking module is to track any error from the landed cost voucher because it's a quite how to say special process. So basically you have to add something on and you can add it several times. So basically this is the tracking error for any landed cost operation that I have. Then basically we create this like a report center for our operation. Let's say purchase receipt, sales, or item and stuff like that. So this is what we made for our company. And okay, that's for my company. The next is one of example, my first implementation. It's my friend company. Well, actually, many people tell you you should not work with friends, but yeah, this is my friend company. I already got the permission to show you. So what is Delta Kita? Delta Kita is the largest contractor and distributor for ABB Electric in Indonesia. So they have 9,000 products in the catalog, and then they are implementing ERPNext since 2006. So this is their client. There are some of their clients that they have a contractor for electrical in Conrad Hotel or some mall or in the Ritz-Carlton Jakarta. So why do they need to change? So basically they are using three software for businesses. So first is they are using a GL for account. Is it clear? Can you see this? Okay. So they're using three business software. One is a GL for accounting. Magic is for their operation. It's a custom-made product, and Excel for reporting. So what happened with them is like since they are using the product since quite a long time ago, the business as the business process grows, so does the duplicate process increase. So they always have to double entry all the time, and every time you ask for report, then it takes like weeks to create just one report. And then the worst is the provider for the GL and Magic, they're already out of business since 1995. So you cannot look for the developer anymore. They're gone. So this is the business flow. So basically we have this very normal business process for trading, purchasing, stock, selling, account. So basically you buy, you hold, you sell, and then you bill them. But then what's special for them is they have a subcontract. So they subcontract their manufacturing process to some other party. But then they also manufacture some of the things themselves for the project. And of course, everything has to link to the project because it have to do with the deadline, when is the project going to be. So this is one of the specific process, subcontract process. So basically, they will have the procurement division will buy all the raw material. In ERPNext, it will be like incoming product receive. But then they will have to send it to the subcontractors. So ERPNext has, I think, quite a good job in handling this kind of contractors. They are using the manual process. So whenever they want to have a subcontract, they will do a stock transfer from warehouse, raw material warehouse to the subcontractor warehouse. So then they can track all the material that is already being shipped to the subcontractors. And then the subcontractor just has to add the supporting raw material. And then this is the thing. We cannot use the normal production process for ERPNext, but then I can use like a mini production process. We call it repack. So basically, you will add this 1, 2, 3, 4 material into a finished goods, and you transfer it to the finished goods warehouse. So that's like a manual production process. You cannot use the normal production order in ERPNext for this because it's quite specific, but actually we can make it like that. And then after that, there's always the subcontract fee that, the contractors will always bill the accounts division. So this is one of their special, how to say, their special business process. And of course, everything is connected to the task because you have to know when is the deadline, how it's going to be, and of course, it's always linked to the project. And then, so basically for this business process, we don't do lots of customization. We just add this title. So basically they know which document goes to who, but actually they are using normal ERPNext transfer and repack process. So that's the nice thing of ERPNext. It's a ready-made solution. And then they have assembly and disassembly. This is on the manufacturing side. Basically, assembly is just like a normal production process where you add 1, 2, 3 material into one finished product, and then you install it at site. And then you have the disassembly product. Basically, it's a like reverse BOM. Well, we don't really use reverse BOM because their product is so much custom. So every project will have a different configuration of the product because they are making it based by project. So they're kind of using a manual. Of course, back again, stock transfer, repack. It's like a one handy solution to control all the manufacturing, the assembly, and disassembly. But basically, this is a BOM and reverse BOM in production solution. Okay. And of course, back again for that, we just have to add the status and the title for this. We don't really customize much for them because the usage of the system, they're already happy. So, and then, okay, this is the thing that we have to kind of make it customization because they have a down payment and retention. But because of the tax requirement in our area, basically this is the original ERPNext flow. So basically you have a sales invoice, you will record account receivable, let's say full amount, sales, and tax. And then you do all the partial payment in the payment gateway. But then because of the tax requirement for our country, so you always have to make one sales invoice becoming 3 sales invoice with a different due dates and different tax. So basically why we made this is because you have to break the tax in every sales invoice. And the normal ERPNext process, I found we cannot do it now. But this is like a specific partial sales invoice. But the nice thing is when you break it like this, you can have another deadline for the down payment, you have another deadline for closing, and you have another date for the retention. So one project, one project can have 3 sales invoice with 3 different deadline due date for the sales invoice. So for that, we just make a small change custom script in this if it's down payment or it's retention. So we just make a very small change in ERPNext. We don't do big changes. We just do a custom script. And then of course, specific, it's the print format. Well, the beauty of ERPNext is the print format is also customizable. If you know CSS, you can just do it like that. So basically this one, print format, is a print format from 2 tables. So 2 sales invoice, but they make it as one print format, one big format. Why they need this is because this is the main product which is being offered. This is the next alternative product. If you don't like this one, then you can choose this one. So they always make 2 quotations, and then they link it as a one big quotation, and then they give it to the customer. So you can choose this one or alternative that one. And this is our tax, how to say? This is our tax invoice. So this is, what do you call that? Formal Indonesian tax invoicing. So you can also do this kind of thing in the print format. Basically, it's if you know CSS, you can do it's limitless. You don't have to, how to say? Yeah, you just have to know that you can do any print format that you like, or if you can change anything. Okay, next is service-based company. This is the one that I also implement. So it's a truly a service-based company. They're very new, so they are using Excel and Google Spreadsheet. And as every transaction, they also have a many duplicate process. But somehow at that point, when I come to them, they say they're happy because Google Docs, you can collaborate, you can work online. So they think it's a kind of good things. And when I say, okay, of course, within ERPNext, you can also work online. You can also put it on the web, and then you can edit it online, and then you can see who's editing who. So why with the problem is they have a workflow, specific workflow, but then they're not enforcing the workflow. Of course, with the Excel and Google Drive, how can you enforce the workflow? So they always have some mistype or like they do it wrong, and people keep pointing, oh, you're doing it, no, it's mine. Of course they say it's not mine, it's somebody else. So I talked to them and I kind of convinced them, okay, let's just move to ERPNext. So this is their business process. As you can see, it's much different than the normal purchasing, stock, selling accounts. This is a business process that job order. So basically job order, whenever there's have an incoming shipment, they'll create a new job order in ERPNext. Basically, it's a sales order. Then they goes to a document module. This is the yellow part here is the customization module. So whenever they create the new SO, sales order, they create a new document module. So what does document module do? It collect the required document. It arrange all the shipping schedule when it's coming in, what's the document required, what is the commodity, and then they arrange the schedule of the freight because they are doing customs clearance, and of course, time is very essential for them. Let's say if you have a ship on the dock for one day, you have to pay like lots of money for demurrage and anything. And then they use the cost center and they use the deposit note. So basically, they're giving a deposit note. They are because everything in the port you have to do it by cash. So basically, they are using like kind of like a modification of expense claim. So they give money to their employee in real cash money. The employee will bring it to the port authority. They will pay it, and they will get the document, and they will bring it back to the office. So this is the deposit note is the way to control the employee. So let's say you got $10,000, you have to return it, let's say 9,000. Okay, 1,000 because 9,000 is for the document fee. So before they have quite a lot of loss in that because they give you a receipt when you bring it back, something is lost. It's manual based. So and then from that, after all of this process, they have to arrange transport to send the goods itself to the customer warehouse. Then they can bill the customer. It becomes the income. All these things become the cost. So this is all the process. And of course, the last one is they still have to do the between the deadline because every business process, I think we are using lots of projects just for the task because task is, I think, quite a good way to make your deadline, when you have to do it, when is the deadline, what you should do, if it's late, what you should do if it's earlier than that. So for that, we make them a logistic module. So logistic module is basically the document management, deposit note, and then this is the other things, the reports that they need for their operations. This is the document management for the logistics. So this is the customer name, the commodity, the vessel, the BL number, ETA, date, simple stuff. And this is the deposit note for the one that I say. So basically, sometimes they can go to this amount. They will give this cash to the employee, and then they will bring it to the port. And this is all the fees incurred for the release of the cargo. So back to this Frappe framework. Well, as you can see, I show you 3 different kind of businesses, 3 different kinds of flow. So I think for me myself, it's a very flexible framework. It can adapt to your business flow, any business that you need. And it's like how to say? It's based on the sites, but every sites, ERPNext is just one of the apps on the sites. But then basically you can put any customization you have, but then it will not affect the whole site when you upgrade. So that's the beauty of Frappe. You can always upgrade to the latest version, but then you can always have your customization intact, like that. So why you have to contribute? First, for me personally, ERPNext helped me. So I have the obligation to return something. And then I think it's a real open source project. It's not driven by the commercial needs. It's really from community to community. It's really driven by the community because then it's the power of community who makes these things grows until now. It's batteries included, no strings attached. So basically you get all the feature. There's no like professional version. There is none as a community version. We have that when you start growing, they start making this professional version. This is the community one. So there's no like that. But of course, it's really depend on community. So it will grow based on community. That's why RUSAPs always say, okay, pull request. So that pull request determines where the ERPNext is going next. And then, I don't know, I'm not good at programming, but this is what we contribute for the ERPNext. It's a Docker containerization. So basically, we make a Docker-based container. We separate between the MariaDB, Nginx, Frappe, Redis, and everything. So we make it as a self-containing. So what's the special of this is we always try to make it up to date, and we try to use it in our own cloud-based solution. So as you can see, this was 3 days ago. We always keep it to the latest version. And yeah, on the Docker Hub, we are not number 1, but we are number 2 on the Docker Hub. So I guess that's a different way of contributing, but yeah, this is one of the example how you can contribute to ERPNext development. Maybe not from the core, maybe not from the program, but maybe something else, as long as you contribute. Okay, I think that's all.
Okay, thank you, Anton. I would suggest that we take a short break, just like 10 minutes, and then we'll be right back. And then Stavros will give us a comparison of. So, everyone, can I ask you to take your coffee and drinks to your seats so we can continue with Stavros?
Test. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Oh, I have a no. I will, because I will show stuff also, so I will be, you know, and I have like, no problem. I'm used to do stuff like that.
So, Stavros will show us a comparison between Django and Frappe. He will guide you through it. One thing you can see here on the bottom left, bottom right from your perspective, is pneumatic I/O. So ESO Electronic, we're an electronics manufacturing firm, and for us, we are separating the ERPNext Frappe framework and development services into that new name called Pneumatic IO. So you can go to pneumatic.io. You won't see that much content right now, but we're doing it. You can follow us also on Twitter on pneumatic_io. And we will use that to post about when we contribute stuff to open source and to stay in touch with you. So now comes Stavros.
So, good morning, everyone. I'm Stavros Anastasiadis. Now, I work with ESO Electronic as a software developer and core Python developer. Now, my personal background is not with computer science stuff like that. I originally studied forestry, and I have some studies in hydrology. So, in some point, I have decided to put Python in my life, and I became a Python geek. So, I'm like Python as you can tell. So, I was trying to prepare this presentation, and I was thinking what will be the best also for developers and also for the ones that we have like streamcasting right now. So I thought, okay, let's compare the two frameworks. Okay, by starting, Frappe is a full stack web framework, and Django is not so full stack. So the thing is, the Django quotes like it's a web framework for developers with deadlines. So I will try to compare how easy it is to set up your Django project and how easy to set up is your Frappe project. I'm basically a Unix user. So I will show you the commands, and during the presentation, I will give you some tips like what I use like daily for using bench and stuff like that. So probably I will be the only technical presentation, but it's a nice. So let's start from installing. Now, in the Django world, and in every Python project, you do something like you create your folder, then you create a virtual environment where you have isolated your Python container, let's say, and then you just pip install Django 1.8. I'm using like the long term, okay? And on the same time, on the Frappe world, you have to install bench. Now, everyone is very afraid of bench, like benchtop, where is it, and stuff like that. So we clone from the main repository. By default, when you clone in the bench repository, you give the namespace of bench repo, and then you have a bench install /c bench repo. Basically, you are doing the same thing like pip install. It's the same thing, but you are using a library, a Python library that is called click. So bench is using a clip, using a Python library called clip. And basically, when you bench install does it, you should only say, I'm installing something that is editable. So you can change the code on the bench, and then you have it again to your console. Now, the way to think about bench in comparison with Django stuff like that, you have to think bench is like not only a toolkit, it's a toolkit with power tools. What I mean by that, it gives you the ability to switch between development and production very easily. Okay, and also you have to use bench for some infrastructure because it's very easy if you see the tutorial they have in Click, it's very easy. And if you go like from the, and it's well documented library. So if you go to the source codes of Benz, you will find yourself, if you go to the source codes of Benz, that is not ready right now, sorry. I forgot to put it. Oh, no, I have it. So, Benz, it's just a list of clip commands. You can create your own. Is it clear for you? No. Let me change some, forgot about this. This one is better. Okay, I will not be so much of a short code. I will not go deeper to source code, but to get the feeling, like if you follow the tutorial in the clip library, then you can write your own batch commands. It's that easy. Okay. Now, so basically we have installed something. So basically we have installed. So basically we have like a manager or a packet manager to work on. Now, the second step is to create the file structure you want. In Django world, testing like robots. So in the Django world, you have like Benz, you have a Django admin terminal command, and you start a project and you give a name. Now for this presentation, as you can tell, I told you I'm a geek, so I'm using Batman as my reference. So in the I'm moved to lot. In the Frappe world, you have Benz init. Now, init is not so okay. It may be yes or no, but we have to live with it. So the choice is made. Benz init maybe is not the correct word, but here is something that I use all the time. Because I want to have like a stable system, I don't want to use every day the develop branch that they have. I use this dash frappe slash dash branch master. So I'm tracking master, I'm tracking frappe master branch. And so I'm like waiting when Nabin will merge something new, when I will get a new version. So then I'm going back to my system and updating my system very easily. With only that setup, you have already, with in Frappe world, with only this command, you have already gained all the crazy develop push requests that be done every day. So I think it's a good start. Of course, like you have in Django, we also have a cell. So for us, it's Benz console. It's the same thing. You are inside. The thing is that in Django World Cell, let's say, you have to use another, if you want another application, in order to load all the documents or all the models. By default in Frappe, it's already there. So you can, you don't have to import Frappe. Frappe is there. The library is there. So right now, I have just downloaded source code, some of the source code, my manager. I have created some structure. and I'm getting ready to set up. I'm getting ready to set up the init process. Now, in the Django world, you have to migrate. First, you have to create your database. You migrate, create the database, and then you probably have to create a super user, like the admin, in order to use some of the features of Django. Now, the thing is, by default, because Django is so customizable, it gives you like SQLite, you can choose Postgres, you can choose whatever database, but this means also you have to configure this database. And this is where Frappe comes and says, okay, we have made the choice. The choice MariaDB is an excellent open source database. You don't have to worry about keeping track or maintain what will happen next in, for example, Postgres. Will I have to switch? This is all done by the guys. It's fairly good. And you get like a small installation terminal or command that you just give your SQL root password, MySQL root password, and you have the first thing you install Frappe and some weird country info. I don't understand what is this, but this is what you get by default. So by default, you get the framework, and you install also you get the administration. You don't have to put some create super user. You get it by default, and by default the schedule is disabled. So we have now we have download the source code. We have a structure of files. We are getting to init, and in Frappe, init also means that you have to put a site. So now the first thing you notice when you are starting with Frappe is every site you create, it generates a hash for the database. Now the hash generator they have is very good. You can either, if you see the function they have, you can either select a length. So for example, we use every day hash generator for some batch stuff like that. So you can make a unique identifier with 4 characters, stuff like that. And I always use this other option. This is just a bench command, and another option, DB name. So I have my name, and I know which databases I'm working on. If you think about it, you probably will say, okay, why not they don't have it like by default? You have to put the database name. If you go, if you remember the cloud service they have, so they have so millions now. Like yesterday, we created so many new instances of Fabric. So if everyone was trying to create a name, maybe we'll have some conflicts like your name is there, stuff like that. But if you are starting to working with Frappe in more serious matters, you can even have your database name set up during the init process. So now, starting the developer server, it's the first big thing you will face, like how I do development. So we have bench start. It starts so many processes, starts some Redis service from the background, stuff like that. In Django world, it's more easy. You just type Python manager. But the thing is how you configure the settings now. Now, in the Django world, you have a file called settings. You have a list of variables that you have to configure, database, templates, what time zone, stuff like that. Also, every application you might install needs some extra configuration. So you end up with a huge file. In Frappe world, it's much easier. Rusab yesterday told us about the common site JSON file you can have your common settings, but each site has its own setting using the site config. Now, I don't think if you have dig enough to the source code of Frappe, there is something here. It is called apps Frappe data. So apps Frappe data, and they have this JSON file. So they have this JSON file that you can configure everything. You can start like realizing what is your what you can do. So they have it like they have a sample So let me so right now I can start some development server. Let's compare the two frameworks, what they give from scratch. I will go from Django and then to Frappe. Sorry for doing this. Now, the first thing you get now, this is up and running on my localhost in one port. So the first thing you get with that configuration you just saw from using those commands, it's just a plain text saying it worked, congratulations, you have your Django power. This is good. You say, okay, I'm working. Then another cool feature that the Django has is the /admin. So you get an admin panel, and the only thing you get is how to manage some groups, users and groups. It's the same thing. Users have permissions. They can do stuff. You don't have any other thing. This is what you get. On the other hand, when you have like starting your Frappe, nothing more, not just with no custom application, you get this. You get a homepage with a login system. You have already signed up. You have also already the forgotten password. If you are familiar with any Django development, you have to use an app that is called Django registration. Maybe you want some Facebook authentication, you have to use another app. By default, Frappe has it all. So I'm logged in as administrator. I'm switching to desk. And this is what I get. Please don't, okay, gadget manager is not on the default, but you get the tools, you get a newsletter by default. You can configure your mail and you can set newsletters. You have email groups, you have a to-do app. I know that there are people from that used to do and they have expanded to do so much that it's the main module, the main thing that they do all the day. From to do, he can track like he wants to track his employee what they do every day. So he took to do and make it even better. You have file management, you have calendar, you have chat, notes, activity. Also, something else, it gives you a website. The website is a portal that you by default create your own web pages. So imagine the scenario. We want to create 100 websites that they have a homepage, an about page, a contact page, and stuff like that. By default, you can create 100 sites and you have it all. You create just a theme, maybe. You can switch easily to themes. So this is a standard one. So let me give you something like, I will name it test. I will go to this, get bootstrap. I don't have good internet connection. The thing I wanted to show you there, because it's based on Bootstrap, you can go get like there's a service get Bootstrap that you can take themes like paper, newspaper. They have like several themes. You just paste the CSS, and out of the box it will work. So you can have like for all these 100 websites, you can have your own theming. So it's very cool to have it by default. This is the good thing. Website setup. Also, you have a portal setup, knowledge base. So you have a blog agent ready. You can expand. If you want to write a blog in Django, you have to write everything by your own. It's it's not so. It used to be very hard. Now, anyway, there's a project that is making it easier. But by default, you get so much functionality. You may say, I don't need it, but actually you need it because in the world we are living right now, everyone wants everything by default. So right now there is no customer that will come and say to you, okay, I want a site, nothing more, just plain HTML or some CSS. It will tell you, I want the site, I want to have this email, I want to be able to send emails, I want to be having maybe a newsletter. Maybe he will call you, oh, I need a new page, so you don't have to configure everything. Now, So battery is included. The defaults, I think, on this case, again, Frappe is very good. Now, creating custom application. Now, in the Django world, you have to go and say, okay, I want to start an application, and I will call it gadget management. Then I have to go to my settings file. I have a list of the default settings, install apps they have, and I have to put my own. And then I have to migrate my database. I have to create URLs about this custom application, and so on and so on. Frappe has made the best job for this. So you just create a new app, and then you install the app to the website. It gives you this awesome prompt that you can give the title, description, publisher, the license, everything without from the developer side, to find the license, the correct license, where to put the license file, and stuff like that. By default, everything is there. By default, also, when you create an application, you have I'm taking this as example, a model. Okay, my model is a gadget. Batman has gadgets. He needs gadgets to survive. He has this gadget has a title, description, and image. Now, in the Django world, in order to write this model, you have to go to create a models py, and then you have to create a class. This class inherits from models.models. You have to use this char field, that you have to predefine what is the max length. Maybe it's unique, maybe not. You have to create the description. You have an image field. Yes, they have some things that you have to configure. They also will suggest you to go to another application, Django image kit, in order to have image. So I want just a model with 3 fields. And from the Django perspective, I have to sit around 2 or 3 hours. Not because I don't know Django, because I have to think that this is the correct name for my model. If I put this name and change it later, I have to think about the migration. It's not a simple process, for example, to change name. Let's say title is not correct. We need something else. So Frappe, as you know, has the doc type. And you can create doc types easily from the awesome search bar, they say. And this doc type inherits from document. Now, where this is on the source code, if you go to code doctype, .py, you will find the source code. Now, you may think about it from frappe.model input document. So maybe you have the scenario that you want every model in your database to have a specific field for some reason. So you can take this document, because every doc type is a document, and then from that to inherit it to a new class, and you use it by default. So maybe by default you need some new field to the whole system. It's very easy because it's just Python. Okay. So Batman needs to do some stuff. He needs to upload. He needs to find suppliers. He needs to create, read, update, and delete. So how you register your model would just create. In the Django world, you have to go to a special file called admin.py. You have to register. So you have to import your model, and then you have to register to the site area. Now, if your model in the admin area, you want it to be more complex, you have to do some manual configuration, this inherits from another class and stuff like that. In the Frappe world, as you all know, this is one of the biggest thing they have. They have simple gadget management. You have a list, you have a form to create, you have a detailed form to view, you have comments, you have a sidebar that you can customize, or images, very easily done. So right now, if I had to work for this project from scratch, I will be with Frappe in 15 minutes ready. With Django, I will spend an hour. And most of the hour will be only configuration. Now, for me, the best thing that Frappe has is this REST API they use. the decorator frappe.whitelist, it must be the most awesome thing I have seen. Because everywhere I want, inside the framework, I can create my own API methods. This gives me so much flexibility to give to my service whatever they need. Again, in the Django world, you have to configure, you have to take the request, you have to do something with the request, you have to say this request is not, it's JSON, you have to do it by yourself. And then there is another framework called, this is actually a framework on top of Django, it's called Django REST that everyone uses. Now, out the box, also, you get a login system. Even if you're going to use, for example, Django REST, you have to use another application. It's called Django REST Auth in order to have logins. So in order to manage session between users, you have to use something else. This is where Frappe, for me, is one of the best features. Out of the box, you have a login, logout, registration, whatever your service needs. By default, you get resolve the doc type, and also by default, you get filters. You get filters about your data. So you don't even have, like, for example, you don't have to write a special API call or a special endpoint that your user will pass their fields and stuff like. By default, is there. You can list by name, by field name, whatever. You have also by default pagination. So I will give you a rough scenario how to use it, to use only REST APIs, to use only Frappe for the REST API. Someone asks you to create a mobile application. Okay. So the first thing you're going to think, okay, I need an API to connect with the mobile, stuff like that. You have Frappe by default in 15 minutes, everything ready for you. So my presentation is very short because I didn't want to have. So this is my daughter, Danai. And so for us is the quote. This is why Frappe is a superhero web framework. You have to understand and you have to put it in your mind that you are not using a web framework. You are truly using a superhero web framework. So thank you.
Thank you, Stavros. I think now is a great point to take a break after this. So what we'll do is, you can all leave your things. One of us will stay here to watch it, so everything is okay. And yeah, Carly will explain to us how we get there.
So as you guys all heard, there was a demonstration outside. They are all currently going into downtown Frankfurt, but I spoke with the caterer this morning, and because all the roads are closed off around here, he suggested that we meet him instead at the restaurant, which is about 800 meters from here. So there's two options to get there. I would suggest walking because that would be the easiest. It's not very far at all. And then you just follow this street out here. And then just turn right onto this main street. It's called, I think this is the Bockenheimer Landstraße. And you go 8 blocks, and then you turn right onto the Feuerbachstraße, 46. I'll write this down for you guys, but we'll just go as a group too, just in case anyone gets lost. Right, we'll have our own little march down to the restaurant, and the catering is, yep. So we go out. Right, on the Bockenheimer Landstraße. Then the restaurant, so it's onto this street here. This is the street that we follow. And then it's 8 blocks, yeah? The name of the restaurant is called Yumas. We will write this all down quickly for you guys so that you can see. But you can just follow us as well.
Join us downstairs and we'll go together.
Right. And catering, if catering had been here, of course, that would have been a little bit easier. But thank you guys for all being flexible. And catering is lunch is of course covered by us. So